Okay, thank you. I have done that. So yeah, so before the recording of the last class, those who missed this class, actually, you can watch our, recorded video. I believe that was a good discussion. I believe that was a good discussion because a number
So
of
that was
ideas.
good. That was really good.
Okay,
Previous
thank you.
discussion.
Okay, okay. So it depends on chance, actually, right? Like sometimes we find a good discussion, and sometimes we don't find it. But hopefully, we'll have another productive discussion. Anyway, so what I was trying to say that in the last class we shared another interesting thing, like Foucault's idea. He's arguing that sexuality is a modern construct. Okay, and we were talking about genealogy, right? Michel Foucault is interested in how certain idea takes its form, gets consolidated, okay, gets a stable form, achieves a stable form, and why does it happen? What are the factors working behind this? For example, Foucault is arguing like sex is always there, since ancient time till now, but our attitude or our understanding of sex has got changed. Okay, for example, I'm doing a bit review because some of you have requested. I'm trying to do a bit recap, and then I'll enter to today's discussion, saying that people in ancient time didn't make a big difference between, let's say, walking, drinking, sleeping, and then doing sex. These are um, almost similar thing. They didn't attach some special significance the way people later started doing. And Foucault, if I'm not wrong, saying that later it's mid 19th century, right? 1850 onwards, people have started attaching an exclusive interest or attaching a new interest or bringing new interest to the concept of sex. And Foucault is wondering why is that, and trying to answer his own question, saying that as Shadhin was trying to tell us, that uh, Foucault is actually trying to focus on a shift from sovereign power to biopower, actually. And Shadhin has told us, like, from symbolics of blood to analytics of sex, like our collective attitude. Our means like humans in Anglo-European tradition, definitely, in Western countries, definitely in that tradition, they shifted their interest from symbolics of blood to analytics of sex. Okay, saying that previously people identified themselves with reference to blood, with reference to lineage, with reference to their parent probably, but later on people actually shifted that sort of orientation or that sort of identification, I should say. Nowadays, unless you clarify, someone's sexual orientation or someone's sex, these are two different things, by the way. Like someone's sex and sexual orientation, we are not sure about your identity. Like what kind of person you are. Like the moment I know someone is homosexual, the people have a special sort of look, or they give a look to someone who is homosexual still today. Michel Foucault will tell us later on why this is problematic. That's another thing. But right now we're trying to review our previous class. Like we have shifted our interest from blood to sex, and that's why you see in modern Western subjects no longer identify who they are through their blood. Okay, or through their blood relations, but they identify themselves through their sexualities. Okay, nowadays if you identify yourself through your blood relation, people will probably will think like you are absurd, you are totally awkward. So we have changed our way of identifying ourselves. That's what he's saying. And he's saying that this is the shift, not only from blood to sex. What is going on in the background? Like it's a shift from sovereign power to biopower, actually. Okay, and in the last class we tried to share how biopower is connected to interest in sex, because in the biopolitical power, in the biopower, one central idea is what is a good life. Okay, and an initial and inseparable component of good life is happy sex life. So biopolitical power or biopower has actually the shift from sovereign power to biopower. Due to that, we as a society are surrounded by, you see, sexual images, discourse, and why we as individuals come to see our identities through sexualities, which actually Foucault is trying to think about. So Foucault argues that when power was exercised through blood, okay, through blood, through warfare, through bloodshed rather, to warfare, identity was associated with blood, and one identified oneself according to one's bloodline. Okay, this is a quote, definitely, according to one's bloodline, family alliance. Okay, but now under biopower, with power operating through the regulation of sexuality, we identify ourselves according to our sexual practices and according to our desires. Okay, in contrast to sovereign or juridical legal power, disciplinary power does not so much write laws and punish those who transgress them, as it situates individuals in relation to norms. This does not mean the legal institutions and code of laws are disappearing. Instead, the law has been infiltrated by norms. Let me take a pause here. Foucault is trying to say that, trying to focus on the function of discourse or on the meaning of discourse. In the last class, we are trying to define, if you remember, discourse. Okay, saying that discourse is, what is discourse? Like, sets context or of meaning, uh, like under which context, in which context something becomes meaningful, or limit some variables and utilizing those variables and fixing them, saying that this statement is meaningful, a particular statement is meaningful in this context. So one another thing probably we overlook, like discourse is not only thinking or attitude. An very important component of discourse is practice. Okay, uh, um, it's, it's practice. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, if you compare previous mode of power, like sovereign power, it actually becomes very powerful because it tries to apply force. But discursive power, it doesn't apply any physical force. Okay, like we behave in a way, or we practice, we execute our ideas in a way that whatever we are doing, they become, they achieve a sort of normalcy. Okay, they become normal, and we don't notice that we are doing something, in a different way, which we didn't do earlier. Like, when I'm saying that, I'm definitely talking about our interest in sex, can be taken as an example. Different people give different example. For example, you can think of children. Children, they don't like to, brush their teeth. At least some of them don't like, definitely. But when you actually tell them over and over, and when you actually a bit, force sometimes, to do it, so at some time they get accustomed to it, and it becomes very much normal to them. So from this example, we can understand, like, under the discourse of hygiene, probably we are actually disciplining ourselves, under the discipline of under the discourse of hygiene, like hygiene discourse, like what it is to lead a healthy life, or what you need to do to maintain a good health. So this hygiene discourse is powerful, not only because it is in our head or it is in our brain, but also because we are enacting on it. We are actually executing some of the ideas. We are putting them into practices. So practice is a very powerful component of any discourse. Okay, so Foucault, so this is from discourse, if we just shift our focus to another thing, like the disciplinary power. Disciplinary power, when I'm articulating that word, even disciplinary power, I'm trying to compare it with sovereign power once again. And disciplinary power, Foucault is arguing that, just because it doesn't apply force, it doesn't mean that it is less powerful. Foucault is rather interested to say, in fact, has already told us that it is more efficient. Which one? Like, disciplinary power is more efficient than sovereign power. Why? You can understand, like, it actually occupy you're unconscious. I mean, it shapes your thought in a way you don't notice that what is going on. You don't notice that you are getting changed. Okay, so that's why it is difficult to notice. I mean, it's unless you think critically about it. Okay, for example, you are thinking critically about sex, then you notice like, yes, yeah, this is true, that sexual interest of the society has got changed probably, so unless you think critically about it, you don't notice it. So that's the nature or power or of disciplinary power. It's more efficient definitely than sovereign power. So it is not expressed in the form of public laws. There is no law, probably. For example, there is no law like people will force you, if you don't brush your teeth, you will go to jail. There is no law as such, but you are doing it, nonetheless, you're nevertheless doing it every day, so disciplinary power is, that's why it's very subtle. It is internalized. Internalize means like we internalize it, we make it part of us. Okay, and it is also, subtle, it is also implicit, it is also hidden, so even it doesn't seem like power. Okay, disciplinary power works in a way it doesn't seem like power. There is a reason behind, like that I'm actually preparing a context to say some different thing. I'm on the back of mind, I'm actually thinking about our exclusive interest in sex, how people have made it normal. you know uh, Foucault is arguing like, due to the discursive power, disciplinary power, it has been made so much normal that we don't notice it. Foucault has said something really interesting, like unless someone prevent you from doing something, only then you notice, only then you recognize like someone is actually having power or exercising power on you. Okay, but when you are doing it yourself, you don't understand that there is also power, working. Power is also working there. Okay, I don't know whether I have made it clear. If you take a specific example, since we are talking about sex, like if there is some law, definitely you can think about homosexuals in some countries at least. There is a law, to prevent them from from their to execute their desire, so then they can identify, yes, what, the power is working on us, there is some exercise of power on us. But what about, within quote, the normal people? When I say normal, like I'm thinking about heteronormativity, like the heterosexual people. So they don't notice that they're also under some sort of power, and I can give you other examples. Another example probably I shared with you in some of the classes. I'm afraid that I need to instead of spreading out in different direction, because let me tell you, I have a class at 8:30. Okay, so I can continue till 8:30. Okay, though I had a plan to finish it at 8. Anyway, let's continue. Like I want to be slow, actually. I want to be slow on purpose, because my
Sir,
understanding, yes, instead of covering a lot, I want to cover less.
স্যার স্যার একটু কি ধীরে বলা যায় স্যার? ইন্টারনেট কানেকশনের জন্য স্যার মানে একটু আছে ইন্টারনেটের সমস্যা স্যার।
Okay,
একটু যদি স্যার স্লো বলেন তাহলে মনে হয় একটু
slow.
আমরা ক্যাচ করতে পারি আর কি। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
Okay, thank you Shirley, thank you for saying that.
জি স্যার।
And I was trying to give another example, like some women, they wear hijab. This example I probably shared in another class. And you can think of Western women, they are wearing the fashionable dresses, like following the Western fashion, like probably jeans or skirt, tops, whatever. But there are some people who actually singling out, or that like these Muslim women, they are probably under some pressure, they are wearing hijab, so there is some like exercise of power on them. So interestingly, the Western women, they are also under some sort of power, in this case probably they don't notice it, so why I'm making this example, just to make us remember that the nature of disciplinary power, which is probably obvious to many of you, but I must mention them. What is that? Like disciplinary power is very much subtle. It doesn't work through physical force. It rather works through ideas. But disciplinary power is not only it's not only discursive in the sense that it works through words. Essential component of it also practice. Practice, when I say practice, I'm talking about normalcy, the way we make something normal. We don't notice that we are doing it because of the some sort of power is working. There is a power relationship between my individual self and the society's mechanism. So there is a hidden unconscious, and that's why sorry, I need to drink some water. Sorry. So this sort of connection between individual and the society is hidden, unconscious, implicit, but at the same time they are very subtle, they're very powerful. That's what Michel Foucault is arguing. So disciplinary power, you cannot recognize disciplinary power as such because it is experienced as coming from within. Like we are like this is very much normal. Like this is probably we will be thinking that, well, this is my will. For example, I'm brushing my teeth. Why? Because I'm doing it, or I like to brush my teeth, or this is this is my agency, or nobody is forcing me, I'm doing it. So these sort of ideas we have in our mind, but Michel Foucault will be making an intervention saying that, well, you are doing so because you are under the influence of disciplinary power, and through the discourse of hygiene, you have been convinced that you need to brush your teeth. So the way we internalize norms, the way we internalize practices and make them normal, the reason is disciplinary power is working. The reason is discursive power is working on us. That's what Michel Foucault will be arguing about. Now I can quickly give some other examples, like some other commentators on Foucault, they are bringing other examples. I give examples of hijab, and they are actually making other interesting examples. Like many of you have heard about food binding, right? Like Chinese women, they're forced to do this. Okay, and I have used the word force on purpose because under the influence of sovereign power, definitely they're doing it. Okay, right? The foot binding, because there was a law, right? The sovereign power enforces those things. In Western societies, now, if I make this comparison, you'll call me absurd, weird, I don't know, but at the set, at the risk of being identified as absurd, I'll share this, and Foucault has definitely shared this. If I say that, the way we practice gender and the way Chinese women practice foot binding, there is some interesting way we can make this argument that these are almost similar. Okay, so the way I perform my gender, okay, why do I perform my gender? Okay, because as I grow up, I take cues from surroundings, from societies. Like I need to perform my gender in a particular way, in a specific way. If I don't do that, for example, my biological self, I need to think about my biological makeup, and I need to perform accordingly. And who told me this? I live in a society, and society has told me this, and that's why I'm performing. So if I consider like this, the way I'm performing gender, no one has forced me. Like no emperor, no sovereign power is there to force me. But there are other types of power definitely is working. This is disciplinary power. This is you can argue that like discursive, in a discursive way, I have been disciplined. The disciplinary power is working. That's why I'm performing a particular gender, and the people who are actually don't perform in an expected way in terms of gender, for example, transgender people or transgender, they oftentimes face some problem. Like, you look like a man, why you are behaving like a woman, that sort of problem they face. When they face it negatively, I mean, when they face some sort of obstacle from outside, only then we can understand the influence of power. Okay, what I'm trying to make you understand is this: when we approach power negatively, we can recognize like this is power. But when we doing it, should I say positively? Probably not. Like productively. Productively, the productive here is a metaphorical thing actually. Productive means we add something, we make something, we make some changes voluntarily. Previously I told you about we make something normal. We make some practices normal, and we don't recognize that we are doing it because of some sort of disciplinary power, some sort of power is actually making us do so. Okay, this is very interesting. I found it interesting. Like, when I find a power from outside as external intervention, I can recognize this. But when I find it like within me, within myself, within my activities, within my thoughts and ideas, it's very difficult for me to recognize. Why? Because I have internalized it. I have made it part of me. For example, the way I perform my gender, I have internalized this performance, and I have internalized all of this. That's why I perform in a particular way. Even the way I stand, even the way I sit, even the way I walk, everything, I have made it normal according to that relationship between my biological self and my gendered self, if I use that term. Like, how should I perform? So these examples probably will be helpful for us to understand the nature and the pattern, not the pattern, like nature of uh, disciplinary power. It's unlike sovereign power. It works subtly, it works in our mind. So let's go to some like other ideas Foucault shared, and you'll be surprised to know that I have just started the pages I referred to. I have just probably preparing ground for this, but you have noticed that at page 151, Michel Foucault has made an interesting question. What is that question? Saying that many people will accuse me, like there are many people who will accuse me, though I'm talking about sexuality, but I'm talking about sexuality in a way that I have excluded sex from sexuality. In other words, I have castrated sexuality. Like, I'm talking about sexuality in a way that I don't think a real sexual act matter, or so many people will make that allegation. Now, before I go there, after reading the first few pages, have you ever thought that the way Foucault has discussed sexuality? Let us remind ourselves how Foucault has discussed sexuality. Foucault is actually trying to tell us, like, oftentimes we think that sex is a material thing, sex is the real thing, sex is the actual thing, and sexuality is the concepts and ideas about sex. And Bhumika reminded us, like, Foucault is trying to flip that idea, saying that no, sexuality is a construct, it's a material thing. Sexuality is a construct. Sexuality, ideas of sexuality has consolidated or has got a stable form in a particular point of time, and within that, within those ideas, we conceptualize, we conceptualize sex. That's what, and Foucault is sharing, and that's why Foucault is saying that many people will tell me that I'm excluding sex from sexuality, or I'm castrating sexuality. So what do you think? Do you think Foucault is Foucault castrated sexuality when he makes a difference between sex and sexuality? What do you think? Anyone interested? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
So do you question again?
Oh, Foucault at page 151 has made a question. The question is, do you think I have excluded sex from sexuality? That's the question. Now I'm asking, what do you think? Has Foucault excluded sex from sexuality?
So I think he hasn't excluded completely. He's giving some kind of ideas how it has shaped the idea of sex. I mean, how it has shaped the idea of sex. So you can't actually castrate.
Okay, thank you. Surely, yeah, definitely, he has an. I too believe that he has an castrative sexuality. He's just actually telling us how our interest in sex has been utilized as a sort of biopolitical, you know, um power on us. Um, that's what he's actually talking about. And at page 54, 53, he's actually referring to an interesting idea. He's saying that how an artificial unity, the keyword is here, artificial unity has been made. When we think of the concept of sex, okay. uh, so he's saying that across all of these strategies, a certain concept of sex was developed that grouped together many different kinds of things in an artificial unity comprising anatomical elements, biological functions, conducts, sensations, and pleasure. Sex then artificially brings together various real things under its single umbrella for essentially political reasons. What he's trying to say actually, like whenever we think of the action of sex, different components, different things we conceptualize, uh, there is no necessary relationship between them, okay. But under the artificial unity, they have been made combined, and as a package they have been given a particular sort of appearance or form, and we took that for granted. Though Michel Foucault, when he's actually discussing these concepts, he gave example of heterosexual sex, heteronormative sex. That's why some of the critics actually pointed out that. But nevertheless, probably he gave this as an example, saying that whenever think of the act of sex, the body parts you think about, the sensation you think about, the pleasure you think about, even when you think about even the word sex, you think about it. So everything has been combined together through some artificial unity. Okay, so in other words, probably we can argue that in previous times, probably this artificial unity hasn't been done. And that's why eventually Foucault will argue, make an interesting point, that we shouldn't attach any special significance to sex. Okay, like what is sex, what is not. We should actually abolish this, the demarcation, abolish this, uh, difference. Uh, but I'll share that later on. It will be a bit confusing at this stage. Like, why does Foucault want to say that? But right now, let us be satisfied with this, that there is some sort of artificial unity has been made. Well, now the concept of artificial unity is, a bit difficult for us to understand. I acknowledge it. Why? As I told you, like we have normalized or internalized these ideas in a way that we cannot distinguish one from another. But at the risk of getting misunderstood, I will try to explain that as I said, when you think of the action of the act of sex, you think of genitalia, you think of bodily sensations, you think of pleasure, you think of sometimes many people think about even their I would say psychological effect it may provide to them, the satisfaction and everything. So Foucault is arguing like all of these things, like all different components have been combined in an artificial way, in a way that we cannot separate one from another. But it is a historical thing. That combination, that formation is a historical thing. That's what he's arguing, and he's saying that the creation of single category that includes the, let's say, the penis, the procreation, the difference between men and women, the pleasure of pleasure of one body touching another body, if I say in this way, these are all artificial category, and these are uniquely found in our culture. Uniquely means, like it has been made normal, it has been made uh, a common practice in our culture. And Foucault is actually making some sort of intervention in our commonsensical understanding on the act of sex, saying that so many different components have been put together, brought together, but that has been brought together in an artificial way. What is the meaning of artificial? Well, there is no necessary connection between one thing and another. Um, Foucault, for example, has give example of different kinds of sexual acts. He's talking about masturbation. He's talking about sexuality performed by or practiced by adolescents. He's giving example of different types of practices of sexuality, and he's trying to tell us when you think of the act of sex, the ideas, the different components we have in our mind, these have been artificially combined, or I would say this is an construct. This is a construct. That's what he's saying. So in other words, he's saying that nowadays sex is perceived as essential. Okay, essential, but he's arguing that there is nothing essential in it. These are artificially combined, or these are artificial. Okay. And then to review a bit like our previous idea, I told you momentarily, I told you that what is real and what is not real. Like oftentimes we say that, but Foucault has said that it is not sex that is real. It is not sex that is real, and sexuality that is ideal. He goes actually on a different direction, saying that it is the other way around. Actually, sexuality is very real because this is a historical formation, under which, or whereas sex is merely a speculative element. This phrase is very interesting. Sex is a speculative element involved in sexuality. Now, what is the meaning of speculative? Probably you can say imaginative, probably you can say idealistic, probably you can say something you can speculate about, right? Speculative. So so Foucault is saying that like sex is a speculative element, but sexuality is a historical formation. That's what he's saying. Like, in other words, sexuality is a historical device almost, and he's saying that sexuality actually produces, sex as a sort of object, as a sort of idea, as a sort of concept. Okay. Now, Foucault is telling us that we have internalized and we have made it normal. Okay. What the artificial unity he's talking about, when you think of the act of sex, we have made it internalized, we have made it normal. Now, what is the point of departure now? Or not the point of departure, like where do you go from here actually? Where do you go, what direction we should think about? He's telling us, there is no outside of power. That's what Foucault believes in, but if you think that you are, you have been, I would say, you have been made to behave. You have been made to behave in a particular way. Probably you can try doing another thing, or probably you can try do one thing, right? So Foucault is arguing like two options. the concept of sex or the artificial unity, just now we have talking about, if you say yes to this sort of sex, in other words, you're saying yes to power. Okay, now can you say no to power? That's an interesting question. Can you say no to power? Okay, well, even if you say no to power, okay, you'll be still, under the influence of, or under the, or within the zone of disciplinary power. There is no outside, but you have only, you have other alternative. What is that alternative? You can practice sex in a, multiple way. People can do that. People people have that ability. You, there is a point of misunderstanding here. Like Foucault doesn't want us to change our sexual orientation. Like you are heteronormative or heterosexual, you need to be homosexual, or in the morning you will be homosexual, at night you will be heterosexual, or during afternoon you'll be bisexual. He doesn't have any interest in that. He just encouraging us to think that we have that ability, to practice sex in multiple ways. We have multiple choices. Okay, and another thing he's actually telling us, that is, what if we don't differentiate between what is sex and what is not sex? You can ask me, what is the purpose of asking this sort of questions or making this sort of idea? Well, the purpose is to encourage us to stop attaching exclusive interest or aura, a sort of aura we have developed centering sex. And Foucault notices that this is a mechanism of biopower. Okay, and it is difficult to evade this, but it is important to understand this. Well, this is a critical condition. Okay, if you cannot evade this or avoid it, or avoid something, what is the point of understanding it? You may ask this question. Well, Foucault is actually giving us some options, saying that, well, at least you can do this. Okay, now let me give you a real example from Foucault's life. In an interview, Foucault has actually made this comment, and feminists has made a huge issue on this. What is that? Foucault told us that the idea of rape is problematic. Foucault actually told that, like, you can take rape just like a physical assault, nothing else. The trauma in rape is a construct. Trauma in rape is cultural. Trauma is rape is artificial. But it has been made normal. So if you take rape, just definitely this is a crime, because this is a physical assault nonetheless. Okay, but if you take out the, what if you take out the trauma part from it? Because you understand, a rape victim suffer a lot, not because a physical assault, not only because a physical assault has done, but what is the impact of this action? What is the impact, like culturally, from family, from society, the trauma, the the stigma, and everything we bring to it. That is something that Foucault is saying, that this is, the trauma is actually a construct, and it's better to get rid of this trauma. It's better to get rid of this. Then feminists actually, they made an allegation, like Foucault saying that you don't understand the intensity of this act on the psychology of a woman, or you don't understand what a woman goes through, and you are trying to make it a normal. Normal means here, you're trying to make it a simple thing. this is not simple, that much simple. So probably you understand there is a uh, problem of misunderstanding actually. Like I personally believe that whatever Foucault has said, I can understand why Foucault has said that, and I can understand that the trauma in rape, the trauma part, at least it's cultural, it's artificial, it's, we have made it normal, and the point of uh, understanding that we have you know uh, made it normal is probably we can find some way to have a different approach to the act of rape. Definitely this is a crime, like no one should actually make a physical assault. By physical assault, actually I'm trying to think about a general, like if you beat someone without any reason, you know, or with reason, whatever, this is problematic, and in some cases it will be considered a crime, right? So Foucault wants to have a similar, or some sort of, idea about rape, uh, no more, no less. Okay, why? I have just explained, right? And also, Foucault, interestingly, uh, believe that the one thing is involved in the act of sex, like the one thing is consent. Foucault believes that the children aged 13, they should have the right, or they should have they should have given the right to assert their consent, or withdrawing their consent. Why? Because Foucault is actually saying that since puberty, children, they practice sexuality anyway, and some of them do experiment, different types of experiment, like masturbation and other things, but society has made it taboo, and we try to discipline them, and we try to prohibit them from and we actually use that in a discursive way. Definitely we have a different words for that, like this is abuse, this is sometimes probably we rely on another discourse, like this is a sin, using religious discourse. But Foucault is saying that our exclusive interest, and making it a very secret affair, making it a very special thing, making it a very unique thing, we don't understand, like this is happening because we have been actually under the influence of some sort of power, some sort of disciplinary power. To get rid of this power, to evade the influence of this power, we need to think about on the act of sex much more critically than what we're doing right now. Okay, we take it for granted that sex is something, it's awesome, it's amazing, and Foucault has said that. Like Foucault is actually has gone to the extent saying that, like, previously we attach special significance on love, and nowadays we got that replaced, like from our uh, like the value we give to love and the value we give to sex. Foucault is saying that people give more and more value to sex now. Okay, so the value of love, I mean, there is some sort of trade actually, or exchange. The value of love and value of sex. People are nowadays, they will be thinking that sex is really important for them, and they can even die for it. So that sort of understanding people have developed, and Foucault is actually observing it, and Foucault is trying to make a comment on that, saying that yes, you are doing this, but you don't understand that, probably you are not understanding that you are you are doing it because you are doing within the influence of disciplinary power. We need to, you can think about critically. There are some people, and that's Foucault's concern, like they will say that probably Foucault is trying to make sex boring, or probably Foucault is trying to make people's life boring, or probably Foucault is trying to take a special thing from people's life, or Foucault is trying to influence their mind in a way that they won't enjoy the act of sex anymore. Foucault has shared this concern, saying that no, saying that Foucault is not doing so. Foucault is rather trying to understand the the artificial unity I talked about, or the way we have made the exclusive interest in sex, or the way we have made it so much normal. Foucault is actually making us aware of that. what is the point of making us aware of that? Well, don't forget the initial interest of Foucault, that's the title of the book, the history of sexuality. Uh, like sexuality is a construct, what is the relationship between sex and sexuality, and whenever Foucault is sharing these ideas, he's actually sharing the concept of power, actually, like the evolution of power, nature of power, sovereign power, biopower, disciplinary power. He's actually trying to make us aware of our, even our identity. For example, Foucault is saying that we don't have a solid identity unless we know about our, sexual orientation, even our sex, even our gender, which Foucault doesn't want to take us away. He doesn't want, he doesn't want to exclude them, or he doesn't want to take away this sort of, uh, these components, but rather making us aware how these components are rather construct, how these components are artificial, and how we have made it normal, how we have made it, unconscious. Sorry, Foucault probably would know. I don't know, like unconscious. I have articulated this word just to make us understand that we don't notice it. Okay, we don't notice, but we do it anyway. So that sort of idea Foucault is sharing. Now, probably I need to take a pause, okay, because in the last class I did this also, like taking a pause sometimes productive, because I don't understand what is going on your end, what sort of ideas you're having right now. Before I proceed, let's take a pause and let's check the watch. It's 7:52, so we can continue half an hour more if you want. Okay, in fact 38 minutes more to be exact. So I thought it would be a good time to take a pause before I continue, and I believe I will have at least one more class, okay, to review, to recap on this. Okay, so I'm gonna slow down a bit, and then you can just review, or you can have you can ask your question, you can share your concerns even. Okay, you're free to do that now. Yeah. If you don't have anything to say, just, I mean, at least say something, so that I can understand that
Sir,
you're there. Yeah, Shadhin.
sir, I have a question, sir.
Okay, Shadhin, and then
Sir, is
sorry, probably one another person actually. I couldn't recognize you, but after Shadhin, you can unmute yourself and share your question or comment. Thank you. Shadhin, it's your turn now.
okay, sir. Sir, I'm wondering if Foucault is proposing that we do not normalize the focus on sex, like making it something exclusive or unique or something more than it actually is, and rather we normalize sexual act or sexuality itself. Like there's a line that the rallying point for the counterattack against the development of sexuality ought not to be sex desire but bodies and pleasure. So like is he proposing that we try to normalize it as much as we can and not make it something exclusive or something more?
Okay, Shadhin, unfortunately, your voice was broken, but let me rephrase your question. Part of the question is, what does we normalize? Okay, do we normalize sex? Do we normalize sexuality? Is this part of your question, Shadhin? You can come back and then unmute yourself and say yes or no.
Yes, sir, it is a part. It is a part of the
It is a part. Okay, I got this part. And can you
Yes,
tell
sir.
us what are other questions which I missed, or other parts I missed?
What I was asking, that's Foucault criticizes that we make sex something exclusive and something special, and that gives power or authority the chance to use it to discipline us or to control us. So is he proposing
Hold on.
that? Yeah.
Hold on, Shadhin.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, sir.
this is an interesting point. Like, it is not that authority is doing this and we are conforming. It is happening simultaneously. If you remember in the last class, we talked about two examples. This example will be really, really helpful for our, like, think of the colonial time. A master is beating his slave. Okay, we can visualize this. Okay, but when we are under the influence of biopower, we don't notice it. Even the people applying biopower on us, they don't notice it. They don't know even. Okay, that is actually Foucault's model of biopower. Okay, now I actually told that because at some point, Shadhin, you told us like authority is actually, you know, um, actually controlling us because our exclusive interest in sex, and somehow they know it and they are actually manipulating us. You know, this who is this authority actually? If this authority are, you know, if the ad makers, I'll say yes. But if this authority is, you know, some sort of, you know, like the biopolitical power we conceptualize, then probably I'll say like it happens in a way like no one notices, like someone is creating a trap for us and we fall victim to it, probably not in this consecutive order, or not in this, you know, not in this way actually. So in what way then? Well, as I said, we are becoming subject, but we don't know we are becoming subject. And in the condition or the influence, if someone applies to us, even they don't know they're applying on us. So this is a bit, you know, a bit like that, rather than, you know, someone is applying or utilizing, you know, our interest in sex and then disciplining us in a particular way. Okay, because who is disciplining us and we are being disciplined to, you know, we are actually on the same, we're actually on the same level. Okay, there is no, you know, like boundary between them and us. Okay, but you can refer to history, you can refer to history of, you know, history of power, or you can refer to the concept of power. Then probably, you know, it is more like Foucault's way of thinking. For example, as Foucault has argued, like sexuality over the time has been made a construct, and within this, you know, sex has been, you know, repackaged, we can use that word, or, you know, made uh, repackage. I like this metaphor, like it was there but it has been, you know, made it in a new way or different way, you know, and from then on, you know, it has been convenient for biopolitical power to manage us, I would say, in a disciplinary way. Okay, and another component of Shadin's question is, do we normalize sex, or do we normalize sexuality? Well, I don't know. I mean, probably we normalize both, right? Like the sexuality, the construct we have, you know. Why I'm saying that, because who knows, and Foucault has indicated in the last few pages, probably after, you know, centuries, people will realize and probably they will think differently, like the sex as a construct, I'm sorry, sexuality as a construct probably will have a different construct then. Okay, and the construct we have since Foucault will argue like mid 19th century until today, the construct we have, we are actually, you know, taking it for granted, and in that sense definitely I would say that we normalize this construct of sexuality. And within this construct, the repackaging thing I talked about, and Foucault has talked about artificial unity, that's something definitely we normalize. Okay, so to be precise, we normalize, I would say both, like both.
Sir,
Yes, surely,
so I had a question.
please.
Sir, it's from kind of practical experiences, or the things we see around us. So I was wondering that, sir, for example, take some advertisements. It's like makeups for girls, for example. It's like when girls take makeup or they wear good dresses, they feel good about themselves. So in some advertisements, actually their good feeling is actually sexualized in the form of মানে স্যার এটাকে হচ্ছে দেখানো হয় যে মানে মেয়েরা হচ্ছে এম্পাওয়ার্ড হচ্ছে, তারা হচ্ছে সুন্দর সুন্দর ড্রেস পরার কারণে। এখন স্যার আমার প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে যে স্যার এই যে আমরা যে বলছি যে সেক্সুয়ালিটি ও সেক্স যে নর্মালাইজ করা হচ্ছে কি হচ্ছে না, তাহলে স্যার মানে এই মেয়েরা যে ভেতরে এম্পাওয়ার্ড ফিল করছে একটু সাজগোজের মাধ্যমে, এর মধ্যে কি তারা তাদের সেক্সুয়ালিটির কোনো অংশ কি হাইড অর এক্সপোজ করার চেষ্টা করছে? স্যার মানে আমি কি বুঝাতে পারলাম কিনা আমি স্যার জানি না।
Thank you. Your third wave feminist, right? If I use this word, or fourth wave feminist, like there is one thing called
Okay.
postmodern feminist, or the different types of feminists. Like you can Google the word power girls, like power girls,
Okay,
power girls.
Okay.
Uh, if you think of feminists, they are all different types, all different colors. I'm using the word color on purpose. You understand why. People of color feminist, you can remember, but there are, when I use the word color, different types of feminists, different orientation. My point is feminists have different orientation. Like a group of feminists, they believe that I can do whatever I like to do with my body. I can even expose my body parts because I take pleasure in it. I feel good about it. There is nothing wrong in it. Okay. So I'm exercising my power. Okay. Now, no one can argue, and no one can, probably from ethical or whatever, standpoint, we appreciate that. But another concern is, the sexualization, objectification of women, and of their body parts sometimes. That is also happening, but we cannot make those feminists, or those people who are saying that this is my power, or I'm exercising power in this way, we cannot make them responsible for this. There is a, I know, like, big scope for confusion here. Now, who is responsible for this? Actually, the people who are objectifying their bodies, they are problematic. Okay, but the feminists or women who are saying that, well, I have my own agency, and I have my I want to practice my exclusive right on my own body, because this is my body. And you know that there is also concept of body shaming. And as I said previously, I told you that there are different type of feminists, and a group of feminists will be saying that this is my body, whether it is slim, or whether it is fat, I don't care, so this is my right. Definitely we understand that, but objectification.
স্যার আপনার মাইকটা মিউট করুন।
স্যার মাইক্রোফোনের মিউট বাটনটা অন করা প্রবলি।
Okay, got it. Okay, I don't know how did it happen. It's some technological problem. I don't know. I got disconnected.
Yes sir, কথা আটকে গেছিল অনেকক্ষণ আগে।
I didn't have
stop ছিল।
Oh really?
Yes sir.
Sorry, I didn't notice. Probably it's due to the internet connection. I don't know. Anyway, I got disconnected, but a good thing that I'm back again. So I can also hear a sort of echo. I'm not doing anything excessive or anything extra. I'm the same person like a few minutes ago, but now it's okay, no echo. Anyway, so these are all ghosts. Like technology, sometimes we have like ghost, and sometimes the internet connection, it gets slower. I don't know. So sorry, Shoili, I don't know how far and how much we missed. All I'm trying to say, I'll be very precise actually.
Yes sir.
Objectification is problematic. Now, who is doing this objectification? Well, you can argue the models in those adverts, they're actually, they're also doing objectification. Yes, you can say that. If you ask those models, they may disagree with you, say that, well, you know, just I'm just exercising my power, and that's it. And you know, the people who made those adverts, they may tell you, well, you know, this is just, you know, they are doing it willingly, you know, I'm not forcing them, you know, or you can argue that, well, people do objectify, you know, if you do this, you know. Now I cannot deny anything, you know, like many things are happening in that example. Surely your follow-up question or your follow-up comment, I want to hear that. Surely, can you hear me? Hello? 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 Can anyone hear me? What is happening? Hello? Hello? Wow. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Now I can hear. Now I can hear. Probably my internet is actually the culprit, you know.
My it is a culprit too, sir.
Okay, Shirley, do you have any follow-up question or comment?
Yes, sir, I have a comment.
Please, please.
Sir, I think these people who are objectifying their own bodies and saying that, well, it's empowering me. So I think at some point, or maybe they are trying to hide their own orientation of sexuality. For example, স্যার স্যার আমি দেখেছি যে মানে অনেক স্যার মেয়ে থাকে, স্যার কিছু মিডিয়া অ্যাডভার্টাইজ যেমন দেখেছি যে কিছু মেয়ে থাকে যারা হচ্ছে ভেতরে ভেতরে মানে মানে ম্যাসকুলিন হতে যাচ্ছে, কিন্তু একটু বেশি বেশি মেয়েদের মতো সাজগোজ করছে যাতে তাদের ওই ফেমিনিন পার্টটা বাইরে বেশি দেখা যায়। স্যার এটা হচ্ছে আমার কমেন্ট স্যার, এটা অবজারভেশন স্যার, সেটা আই ওয়ান্ট টু শেয়ার।
শৈলী, আপনি যে বলছেন ম্যাসকুলিন হওয়া, ফেমিনিন হওয়া, এগুলো তো আসলে সিচুয়েশনাল। Anyway,
yes sir,
situational and, you know, also relative, and the ideas are actually, we normalize like what it is to be masculine, okay, what it is to be feminine. These are all constructs, right? You know that very well.
তাহলে স্যার সবকিছুই কি বায়োটার আন্ডারে পড়ে যাচ্ছে স্যার, যে বিং মানে হোয়াট ইট ইজ টু বি ম্যাসকুলিন অর হোয়াট ইট ইজ টু বি ফেমিনিন, তাহলে সবকিছু কি স্যার বায়োপাওয়ারের যে কনস্ট্রাকশন তার আন্ডারে পড়ে যাচ্ছে তাহলে স্যার?
Okay, now this is, it's not biopower. Immediate connection is not biopower. Immediate connection is, you know, the performance, like the gender performance.
Okay sir.
Gender, like we are performing gender. Now how to perform my gender, it has some prescribed, you know, I would say guidelines, directions, suggestions, and we tend to take them and internalize them, you know, as our own.
Yes.
And then we become men or women. There is no other way I can be, you know, a man or a woman. There's a way. Now
Yes.
you can argue, well, what about your biology? Like you cannot change your, you know, your biology or makeup. You know, there, you know that, you know, it has definite answer. There are many people who are actually even changing that, you know, through surgery, through hormone, through other therapies. They're doing it, you know. So what I'm trying to pinpoint here, you know, the point, the example you brought, like women, you know, you're saying that they're trying to be masculine, you know, but also they are, you know, doing some feminine things. So why they're doing it? Well, you know, probably I would say that probably, you know, how to be powerful, or how to exercise power. Sometimes some of them, you know, take the lead from the men. Like this is how men become powerful. Let me give a concrete example. We can give always concrete example. Like for example, you know, you know, you can speak loudly, and saying that speaking loudly and angrily, in an angry voice, this is masculine. And women, they are traditionally looked at as submissive or gentle and polite, and speak in a soft voice, that's feminine. And if some women saying that no, we are gonna change these stereotypes, who told us? There's an interesting video, if you remember. I showed that in your 4th year, like how to be a girl, right? Or there's a video like throw like a girl, if you remember.
Yes, sir.
So who told these women like you have to throw the ball in a particular way? So this is actually we have internalized. Okay, we have internalized and we have made this normal, and we cannot actually do this in a different way. So this is the power of the normalization. No, so surely I don't know whether you have got your response, or you want other clarification or other observation, but this is what we can share in general. Like the women who are trying to be masculine because they have a definite idea of what it is to be men and how to perform like them, and they are doing it uh, uh, because of that, because they believe this is how they're becoming powerful. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Sir, I'm not clear about one part regarding Foucault's argument on rape and sex. If he said that if you take out the trauma of the rape, then and then there's also the issue of consent. Where does he draw the line between rape and sex? Then I'm not clear about that part.
Okay, so rape and sex is an interesting question. So definition of rape, like doing sex without consent, without someone's without someone's consent. That's the definition of rape. Or in other words, doing sex by applying forcibly. Now, Foucault is actually trying to argue that this is just like a physical assault. Okay, like when we, sorry, give me a minute. Like my window is open and I'm really close to mosque. Okay, hold on. I'll be continuing. You can hear me clearly, I know. In the background there is some noise only. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say, Foucault is saying that beating someone, like you can beat someone, like when people beat someone, this is a crime. And when someone doing sex forcibly, this is definitely crime. But beating someone and rape, we can consider them, uh, as a sort of similar, act. Okay, what we have in the rape is, the trauma part or our stigma around rape. So Foucault is thinking about what if we take this stigma out of rape. He's not saying it's good to do rape, or he's not saying it should be, rape should be made legal, or rape should be made a normal thing. He's just saying that our ideas about the trauma involved or stereotype involved in it, uh, you know uh, we can remove that part probably. Okay, we can remove that part. That's what he's saying. Okay, now definitely Foucault is not making a point like consent should be abolished, because he told us like the concept of consent has been given to children aged 13. Okay, 13, 14, they should have this right to give consent or withdrawing consent. Okay, so he believes in the concept of consent. He believes in the concept of someone's dignity, and he believes in the concept of that this is a force, and this is not something people should do. That's what he believes. He's just saying that the thinking about the stigma and trauma, stigma from the society and trauma from the victim of the sex. And he's saying that the reason of the trauma is the stigma. Probably there is something from the society, from the family, so this is something probably he is actually trying to indicate. Back to Bhumika, your follow-up comment.
Yes, sir, I'm clear now. This part I was confused about.
It is very confusing, Bhumika.
Yes.
Like the feminists, like, were even today, I must tell you, they're really, really angry just because Michel Foucault said that. I told you earlier, like a number of feminists saying that Michel Foucault is doing injustice here because he doesn't consider what is the experience of becoming a victim here, and he is trying to negate that. He's trying to make it normal. He's trying to make it just like a simple beating and any other kind of operation. It is an exclusive operation. It is an exclusive form of torture for women in our society. That's what that is they are actually trying to say. So thank you. I really encourage this kind of questions and queries, because we can all be more, we can have more concrete ideas on these things. And there is a scope for critique. Don't think that we cannot critique Michel Foucault. One big critique is when Foucault is talking about sex, he's talking about heteronormative sex as if no other sex exists. Why is that? one big critic. And definitely this is a problem. He actually normalize these things, though he's talking about normalizing, against normalizing probably, or critiquing normalizing, not critiquing, like making us aware of the or analyzing the practice of normalizing. But he is actually doing the same thing, making heteronormative sexuality as the only sexuality or normal sexuality. But Foucault has other interesting ideas. He's saying that he has said something interesting about homosexuals. What is that? I leave it for you.
Excuse me, sir. Foucault to personal life heteronormative practice করতো না। ওর personal life ও তো homosexually ছিল। কিন্তু ও heteronormative জিনিসটাকে ও বেশি প্রেফারেন্স দিছে, কারণ ওই সময় মানে যে 70s 80s এর সময় আর কি, যেটা আর কি মানুষ মানে যেটা যত বেশি ভালো মানে যত মানে ইজিলি পারসিভ করতে পারবে সেটাই দিয়ে সেটা আর্গুমেন্ট বুঝাইছে। সে যদি এখন মানে এক্সেন্ট্রিক জিনিসগুলো নিয়ে আসে, এটা তো মানে পিপল উইল নট টেক ইট ইজিলি। That's what I think. It's my point of view.
Okay, Anushka, I mean eccentric probably within quote. Within quote, definitely. Yeah, I understand. Thank you for saying that. Yes. Another thing is, I don't know, probably Foucault himself was aware or concerned about his sexual orientation. He was suffering from some sort of uneasiness. I don't know. I mean, there are scopes for discussion.
Yeah, true.
There is scope for discussion, but he has said something really interesting about homosexuals. Let me share. I decided not to share, but he's saying that these tags are problematic. Like, I am homosexual, you are heterosexual, he's bisexual. These are label, and these labels are problematic. So why is that problematic? If you ask that, then like everyone is trying to make his or her orientation exclusive, and pointing out like this is what is my right and this is what I want. One interesting thing about Foucault, as I have already shared, that's why I'm sharing, like multiplicity of sex, or diversification of sex. This is what Foucault believes in, and he doesn't want to attach any tag or attach any label or to a group of people. Rather he will be saying that, well, you can have your tag, but at the same time think of in a broader way, the broader spectrum of in the act of sex and the possibility. Probably that is his concern. And there is no other problem with the homosexuals or others, but we'll see more on that, definitely, because we will have one more class on this. Okay, because I have deliberately slowed down. Okay, I have decided to slow down. I'm just checking how many minutes we can be here. We can be here, 9 minutes or 8 minutes. Okay, if you give me a break before the next class, then it will be 5-6 minutes probably. But there are many interesting ideas actually we can explore, on this. Okay. So what do you think? Instead of bringing new points, I think we should end here. I have a plan to share highlighted extract from the text, which I didn't do. But in general, we share like Foucault, what Foucault wants us, like saying, whenever I shared with you, like saying yes to sex, saying no to sex, what we can do, that's something we shared. Anyway, so I'll not add or bring any other point because we are approaching towards the end. We don't have much time because at 8:30 I'll have another class with third year. But what do you think, like our today's discussion, if you want to wrap up or if you want to review, who can give us some solid points, like these are the things we did today, or these are the things we covered today, these are the things we shared today? Anyone interested? No one is interested? Hello?
স্যার অনেকগুলো জিনিস তো চলে আসছে, মানে বায়োপলিটিক্স, তারপর সেক্সুয়ালিটি আলাদা করা, তারপর হচ্ছে যে ফুকোর মানে কি টেক অন রেপ, সেক্স, কনসেন্ট, তারপর হচ্ছে অথরিটি কিভাবে মানে আমাদের ম্যানিপুলেট করে, আমরা কিভাবে এই ম্যানিপুলেশন কাটাতে পারি, অনেক কিছু চলে আসছে আর কি। তো আমিও এলোমেলো ভাবে বললাম, গুছিয়ে বলতে পারলাম না।
No, it's okay. The good thing about Anushka's words is the way disciplinary power or discursive power work on us. I think this is one of the interesting idea today. Another interesting thing we shared is the repackaging. I don't know, like probably this word is useful for me, like repackaging of sex, or what do you mean by the act of sex? It has been repackaged. Okay. And different components have been made together, in an artificial way. That's why Foucault call it artificial unity. And that artificial unity has been normalized. We take it in a way that this is what sex is. And Foucault's point is no, sex was not this all the time. This is just a repackaged thing for you. Unless you think about analytically, you will think it as an essential thing, or anyway. So that's something we shared, and yeah, I mean, thank you. So I'm approaching the end. Probably we shared few more things which Anushka mentioned. I don't want to drag it, so thank you. We'll have another class on Tuesday, and this time we'll have a big gap, and hopefully we'll reread these pages. Okay.
স্যার টিউসডে থেকে মানে তালাশ নিবেন নাকি এটা নিবেন?
I think we need one more class on this.
হ্যাঁ 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 স্যার, এটা কারণ হচ্ছে এটা ব্রেক করলে আবার ভুলে যাব।
Right, one more class on this. But if you have some handful of ideas, if you find them solid, it will be very easy to write about these ideas. But if you have confusion and then it will be really, really difficult. Then people tend to memorize, and you understand there is nothing to memorize. It's rather it's easy to understand rather to remember. Understanding is easier than remembering. I'll say. So understanding is easier. So that's why we need to approach the easiest way towards Foucault's ideas, understanding. So that's why we'll slow down and we'll have one more class on these ideas, and we'll try to understand them in a way that whenever people ask us something, we can talk about it. For example, I know there are some ideas you can talk about those ideas anytime. Like you understand that gender is a performance, and you can talk about it 1 hour, 2 hour, so in this way Foucault's ideas should be approached so that we can talk about, we can write about it in an easy way. Easy way means like spontaneous way, I believe. Okay. So thank you for joining us today. We did have a productive discussion in the sense that we actually moved forward with Foucault's ideas, and we want to do the same in the next few class on Tuesday. My request would be to review the last 10 pages or the last half of this 5th chapter once again, and highlighting, and when, as you are reading, make some questions and take some notes and bring those notes, bring those questions in our discussion. Then we'll be benefited, you know, we'll benefited in it.
Sir,
Surely.
So highlighted extra করে স্যার যদি ফাইলটা যদি একটু আপলোড করে দেন তাহলে স্যার আপনি বলছিলেন যে highlighted শেয়ার করবেন স্যার সো এটা একটু তাহলে গ্রুপে একটু আপলোড করে
surely, yes, I'll do that. Last day Shadin did this for us, right? Shadin in the last class Shadin did this for us.
Yes,
and
sir.
and today I'll do this, but this will be, you know, my way of, you know, making some sort of, you know, navigation. But you can just see this, like from this I am going to that. You can just see this and then you can make your own highlight. Okay, so
স্যার এই যে মানে রেকর্ডেড লেকচারটা কোথায় পাবো আমরা?
স্যার তো ক্লাসের লেকচারটা স্যার আমরা মিস করে গিয়েছিলাম কয়েকজন।
Okay, so if it is 1 hour, you know, it's a heavy file. You know what I'll try to do, I will upload it in the Google Drive and I'll share the link, okay, on our Facebook page. Okay,
জি স্যার, খুব উপকার হয় তাহলে।
জি স্যার, ভালো হয় স্যার।
Okay, thank you. So all the best, have a good time, see you on Tuesday. Okay, take care.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Take
Thank you,
care.
sir.